Hi, thanks for joining me for this week's quick business tip. I'm Jennifer Swineford with Limitless Impact Agency, and today we are going to talk about highly driven, very focused people and their incredible goals, and those of us who have a tendency to more often than not white knuckle grip the outcomes of all of the actions that we're taking. And when you believe that this intense focus is the only thing that's going to get you to reach your goals, it can really become a bit of a stumbling block. Because I am learning that hanging on to those outcomes so tightly, that single-minded obsession is can a lot of times be what is holding you back. And even if it's not holding you back, it is oftentimes causing a lot of undue stress, and it can cause you to miss out and maybe even not see some amazing opportunities that could be standing right in front of you. And from time to time, I've experienced this and I've had clients come to me with this experience that they actually feel like a failure because their original goal was missed, like not even close. But then all these other things that they weren't expecting that were amazing and great, they just sort of overlook them and don't see them as a success. And all they see is that one failure that was that outcome that they were holding so tightly to. So today we're going to talk about the transformation that you can see when you trust the process and just release a little bit of control when it comes to the outcome. And we're going to talk about being able to build confidence in the letting go and how that allows for results to be even better than you imagined. And a lot of times it can have your results come even faster than you thought. So first, let's talk about the cost of holding on to outcomes too tightly. So we're white knuckling these goals. We have this plan, we've taken the action, and this is what we want to happen. And when we start white knuckling that, we are paying a price. Because I've seen it with my clients and even in myself, the cost shows up in three main ways. First, you overlook a lot of unexpected opportunities that come when you are so narrowly focused on the one outcome that you want. You kind of have this tunnel vision, and it can blind you to other opportunities that can be more fruitful and other paths that might open up if you just made a slight adjustment. The second thing that I see a lot is that it creates a lot of undue stress and anxiety. When you are constantly measuring yourself against a very rigid outcome, that creates a state of anxiety that is simply not necessary. And it oftentimes robs you of the joy of just going on the journey. And sometimes the journey is the important part of whatever you're doing. Now, the third common thing that I see is this sense of failure when there wasn't failure to begin with. So, by being obsessed with this single, very specific result, anything less than that result or better can feel like a complete failure. But from an outside perspective, when you've made incredible progress or achieved something else outside of the goal that you set that is amazing in and of itself, you're just like completely blinded to all this other good that's going on around you. And when you're experiencing any of these three things or all of them at once, it can be exhausting. And it's also not the most profitable way for you to be running your business. And it is certainly not a sustainable way for you to be going about growing your business. So, how do we learn to just let go a little bit? Now, I am not saying that you just freewheel all the time, that you never have a plan, you never have a tactic. We just want to, like, maybe the knuckles aren't white. Maybe our hands are still holding on pretty tightly, or maybe we can learn to just open them completely, but loosening it just a little bit, just so the knuckles aren't white, so that you're not stressed all the time. It's not about being passive or never setting goals, but it is about building a foundation that goes really deep, and it allows you to trust in the process that you've chosen. And this trust is built on three pillars. First, you need to know that you're working with the right strategy. So whether you choose to work with a coach, follow along with a course, or implement a framework, you gotta do your research on the front end. And you need to have confidence that the coach, consultant, strategist, course, framework, book, whatever it is that you've chosen, they are current and they are effective. Because so much advice, whether it's online or in print, it comes from a place that the tactics were working 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, and they got incredible results. But markets change all the time. And if these tactics are not working today, all of the 5-year-old social proof isn't going to do you any good. So you need to have done your research on the front end, know that you're working with someone that you can trust, or a course, or a program, or a framework that you know works right now. And then walk forward with that confidence. Know that you put the work in on the front end and that you do have trust in whatever course you've taken. The second pillar is you need to put trust into the execution. So, you need to do the reps properly. Just like when you're going to the gym and you're working out, especially if you're going to do some heavier weights, there is a huge difference in your results when you have proper form and when you don't. And when you don't have proper form and you're lifting weights, you can not only miss out on the results that you would have gotten, a lot of times you can injure yourself. And so it's the same in business. If the course or the coach or the framework that you're using says you got to do it this way, then you got to do it this way. There is no coloring outside of the lines when you don't have your own proof and don't know enough to know where to color out of the lines. So do it the way that you're being taught to do it, and do it as often as they are saying that you need to do it. This will make more sense later on. The third pillar is that you have to trust the timeline. If you are working with someone and they are trying to help you grow your business, it's not going to happen overnight. It's probably not going to happen in 2 weeks. And in most cases, you're going to need at least 30 days to see or feel anything different. And it's closer to 90 days or even 6 months to start feeling a big difference. So, what I recommend is to give the process a fair chance. Track real metrics, numbers, not feelings, and commit to a minimum of 90 days of testing, and then go back and evaluate the results to decide whether or not you're going to continue with this program or if you're going to pivot to something different. Because when you have confidence in your plan, your execution, and your timeline, it becomes so much easier to take a step back from that day-to-day anxiety and just let the results unfold for themselves. You can loosen your grip a little and you don't feel like you're having to control things that quite honestly, are outside of your control. Now, a good example of this is social media marketing. To succeed in social media marketing, especially right now, you have to be consistent. You have to post valuable content at least at the absolute bare minimum 3, but realistically, you're going to need to be doing this 4 or 5 days a week. Your content needs to feel like it's written by the same person with the same voice. So there needs to be consistency in your theme and how you talk and the photos that you use so that it doesn't look like 10 different people or one person with 10 crazy people living inside their head has been writing all of your social media. And most importantly, you have to authentically engage with your network every day. This isn't something that you can be doing on a Monday and a Friday or one Saturday a month. Like, this is something that you need to really invest in. Now, if any of you have tried social media, I'm sure you have felt the feeling that a lot of people do, which is kind of like you're talking to a wall. There's not a lot of engagement back. It feels like nobody is seeing your posts, and it can get really frustrating. After just a few days or even a couple weeks, if you don't start seeing traction, it is really easy to decide that this doesn't work and this is not the way that you're going to grow your business. And I'm not saying that social media is the answer for everyone. I'm just saying that social media is a great way for me to illustrate for you how this trust and letting go process works. Because social media does feel very repetitive. Because your posts are seen by so few people, even if they follow you. So, of your followers, 1 out of every 4 or 5 followers are going to see what you posted, which means you have to post kind of the same thing, but not exactly the same thing, 4 or 5 times in order for everyone in your that's following you to even have a chance to see it. And that's really not how algorithms work, but we're not going to get into those details. It is in this talking to the wall time period that trusting the process becomes everything. Because for most people, they will not stick with social media long enough. They get 5 days in, or 2 weeks, or maybe 3, and they don't see anything. There's nothing different. But when people stick with it for 60 days, or 90 days, or 6 months, things start to change and they just snowball and start changing exponentially as long as their consistency remains the same. People start engaging, they're engaging back, and all of a sudden the wheels start spinning altogether. I had one client who started implementing a consistent social media strategy, and she tripled her calendar bookings in just 60 days. And for those of you who say, like, well, it may not have been social media, it just may have been coincidence and timing, we did it the right way. We used a link that was only on her social media bio. So we knew exactly how many people were clicking that link and booking directly from social media. Tripled our bookings in just 60 days. I have a client who is an e-commerce client, and they saw their website traffic increase by 300% after just 90 days of consistently posting on social media. I myself do not love social media. I would not be on social media if it weren't for my business. But about 5 years ago, I became super intentional about my personal brand, not just my business page. I post 5 days a week, and at least once a month, I get one inbound lead from someone that I don't know at all. And they wouldn't have heard about me if it hadn't been for my social media posts. Now, one inbound client a month might not sound like much to you, but my lifetime client value is over $100,000. So I am more than happy with one random inbound lead from someone who's not in my sphere, not a referral, not a friend of a friend of a friend kind of situation. They just found me on social media. Now, the results that I'm sharing with you didn't come from white knuckling this very specific outcome every day that these people were working on their social media accounts. They came from trusting a proven, consistent process, staying in the lines, not coloring outside, and just tracking the metrics and seeing what happened. But let's talk beyond metrics. How does this feel inside? Because feelings do matter. We don't live in a vacuum, we're not robots, and we can't just judge everything by metrics. When you decide to shift from obsessing over one singular outcome and instead being open to all the outcomes that result from the work that you're doing, it can be incredibly freeing. It opens the door to possibilities that you never even dreamed of. Unexpected opportunities start showing up, and you may have missed them if you were so focused on that one outcome that you wanted. It also turns down the anxiety dial that can come when you are only looking to achieve one very specific thing. This mental shift is also deeply connected to the creative process itself. The frameworks that I use in my business that I've pulled all of the amazing advice that I've learned from all of the greats leans into the fact that in order to be truly creative, you have to let go of this conscious, self-aware thinking. Elite performers across the globe don't get into the flow state that they need to get into by obsessing over every single detail. They do it by stepping away from that self-awareness and really trusting their own subconscious. Because when you're holding on too tight, anxiety creeps in, and anxiety is the enemy of creative flow. And this letting go mindset extends all the way into sales conversations. If we're presenting our value and then letting go of the outcome and letting the client decide if they're going to work with us or not, because we know deep down inside, we don't have any control over the client's final choice, that letting go becomes more than a business strategy. It's a holistic approach to creativity, service, sales, and even leadership. Now, if you're ready to loosen your grip and start to trust the processes more, here's one thing that you can try this week. Identify one marketing, sales, or business development process you are currently working on. This might be your social media strategy. It might be an email nurture sequence that you've been thinking about or working on, or it might be a client follow-up. Commit to lean into those three pillars of trust. One, for the process, double check that the strategy that you're working with is sound and it's current. Commit to executing the proper form and promise yourself that you're going to stick to it for 90 days and track all of the metrics. Write it down, put a reminder in your calendar, and really make a commitment to trust this process instead of obsessing over daily, weekly, or final outcomes. And if you find that you just really like some help building a process that you can trust, one that is current and works for your business and the market that we're all dealing with right now, That's exactly what we do at Limitless Impact Agency. You can book a free strategy session with me, and I'll help you plan out a marketing framework that's effective, authentic, and worthy of your trust and confidence to move forward. Link is in the show notes. Well, that is our deep dive into white knuckling outcomes. It's always nice to have a reminder, even if you've gone through the white knuckling, letting go, and then start finding yourself slipping back into the white knuckling. It's always nice to, hear that there are other people struggling too, and it's something that you can remember and step out of again. And just a quick reminder, letting go of these results is not about being passive. It's not about not setting goals or not reaching goals. It's about being so confident in your strategy and your execution that you have the freedom to focus on the work that you're doing instead of the results that you are hoping to achieve. Then good things will come into your life, both those that are expected and the ones that you never saw coming. Don't forget to subscribe to Quick Business Tips so that you never miss an episode. Until next time, enjoy your journey and keep striving for your own limitless impact.